Welcome, subscribers. Another episode of the Sports Science Associated with covering elite receivers training video. I'm your training coach, Tyrone Vance, and today we're going to cover the go route, or the 9 route on it, if you want to refer to it on the passing tree. So this is only a 3-cone setup, 3 cones. You don't need a lot of cones for this. I had 2 for the DB and just 1 for the receiver, because why? The receiver is going to just go up the field as fast as he can. Speedy route. Here again, we're 4 yards off the receiver. We want to explode backwards a couple of yards, maybe, to get our read. Now, here's what's important. When that and when you do this drill, over-exaggerate it. Let's put another cone. We probably should put a cone right here. You want to over-exaggerate this, or you don't really have to. It's just 1, 2, 3 steps, and you want to step into you want to take your inside leg and step it into his hip. That's hugely important, and you must do this right before the hip gets there. Hopefully, you guys have a partner to work with. You can walk through it, step into his hip right before it get to you. Step into that hip. Once you step into that hip, and be mindful of this, where your foot go, you go. So it's very important to accurately place your foot where it needs to go. And you want to go right to the back of his hip, and then you want to plant yourself right between his numbers, and you want to stay there. Now, here's another key point. You do not want to lose top end speed. So how do you do that? You run just like the receiver. You know, I'm squared up into his numbers. I'm running step for step, stride for stride with this receiver here. And I'm looking back for the football the same way he's looking back for the football. Now, I'm not facing him, face guarding him or anything like that. My back is to him. I'm squared up to him. My inside shoulder is planted somewhere in his numbers. And I'm looking back for the ball the same way he's looking back for the ball. He's not losing top end speed, and neither am I. The only reason why that would happen is because the ball was thrown short. But I'm in perfect position, so I'm not going to be like what I've been seeing on TV of late, where the guy was there, but he couldn't find the football, couldn't see the football. The ball was thrown short. The receiver adjusted to the short thrown ball, but the defensive back did not. Well, one, he couldn't see it to begin with. So we must always know where man is at and ball is at. We got to see those 2 things at all times, and we'll be fine. We can make an adjustment just as good as he can make an adjustment on a short thrown ball. And we're between him and ball, just like a rebounder is. You got a good rebounding position, so we're in great position to make a play on that ball. So if it's thrown on the money, that's great, because that ball got to come through me before it gets to him. All I got to do, and you have to work on this is another key point on that go route. You have to time your jump and time the swat of the football. Now, a lot of times, if it was short, I can get a good break on it and possibly high point the ball. But a lot of times, I never wanted to lose contact with that receiver, so the back of my knuckles is always somewhere planted on their hip. I'll say that again, the back of my knuckles, because I didn't want to get called for holding or grabbing. Didn't have to. I'm running with this guy. I just use the back of my knuckles just so I can always know where he's at. And I'm going to time my jump, and I'm going to time my swipe, and I'm swiping that ball out the air, deflecting it, so that receiver can't catch that football. So the key points, we want to step into his hip right before it gets there. So get your partner, walk through it. When you see his hip coming, maybe about a half a yard before it get there, you turn, step into his hip, and just run up the field with him. And do not lose top end speed, because we're looking up back to the football, just a slight tilt of our shoulder, our head, very slight tilt of our shoulder, but we can see the ball coming out the air. And all we got to do is make a play on that football. High pointed. Ideally, you want to jump up before the receiver can jump up, before it get to him, and high point the ball, interception. Secondarily, if you cannot feel you got time to high point that ball, then you got to deflect it out the air at its highest point. Get that point, concentrate on tipping that point of the football. Here's another thing I would suggest. your coaches or your partner that you're practicing with. Throw that ball up in the air. You see it, and then you tip it away. Practice tipping it away, and you also practice going forward at its highest points. I'm sure you guys do certain similar drills like that, but like I say, this is a visual drill, so you want to make sure you visually correct in every little way on this this go route. Now, why do we want to do that? Why do we want to practice over and over and over again? We want to learn how to read routes. You can see it coming. That's go route all the way. I gotta step into his hip. I gotta plant myself between his numbers, and I gotta rat him all the way, and I gotta look back for that football. I must find that football. It will create muscle memory, the right type of muscle memory. Okay, so that's the go route. The only other thing I'll say about the go route is there's a 15-yard comeback they can do off of that. It looks like a go route. Oh, by the way, those 2 passes that was caught on me by the same receiver. Oh, he went pro, by the way. They got me on that 15-yard comeback on 2 different occasions. Now, another thing I'll say, there's never been a receiver that has caught more than 1 pass on me in any game that I've ever played. And all I'm stressing this is not so much about me, but about the technique. If you master the technique, it works. You become the better baseball hitter. You become the better jump shooter because you mastered the art of the technique. That's all I'm saying here. So, but that 15-yard comeback route, that is a possibility that they can run that on you. That receiver will gather himself right at about 15 yards. Because remember, we're going to lose all our cushion, and we're running with that guy at that point. We're expecting a deep route. He pulls up. The ball is already in the air. He has gathered himself, and by the time we turn around, the ball is there, and we just have enough time to make the tackle. And we don't want that. That's not our purpose. Our true purpose is to beat the receiver to the spot where the ball is being thrown. And I would say, for me, I'm guilty of not practicing that 15-yard comeback route enough times. I didn't practice it a whole lot. I didn't see it wasn't ran on me a lot. So I didn't really practice it a lot. And I didn't really see it in the film that I was studying a lot. So I didn't practice that a lot. So I'm guilty of that myself. If I would have practiced it more, I would have had a better muscle memory on it. And I maybe could have gotten to the least to tip the ball. But I do recall it was a very difficult route to check. So keep that in mind. That 15-yard comeback can definitely come back to bite you. But I would suggest just practice it more. Practice the 15-yard comeback. Gathering yourself, coming back to the football, just like the receiver is. And visualizing that the ball is already in the air and you knocking it out the air. Do it with your partner. 15 yards and have him gather, then you gather and come back to the ball. But remember, make sure you stay near his, when he gathers, stay toward his outside arm. Stay toward his outside arm because that's our focal point. And that's so key. Sometimes we'll go inside when we should still stay outside because you can always come back inside. But once you go inside, and if it's over your head, you can't go back outside. And they can run after the catch. So it's important to get our mental cues on each and every execution. So that's the go route. So here again, I can be contacted through Coach Up. You know, I'm available to speak about the drills that I'm suggesting to set up, answer you guys' questions, curiosities. You may have a problem with the drill on the field while you're doing the drill, and you may have some questions in that regards. And here again, if your program, facility, Little League organization need me to come out and show how to set the drill up, you know, I've been watching football for decades. I can already tell whether a person can play the defensive back spot or not. You have to have certain attributes, which if you guys go to my educational material, I list out what I feel the attributes you need to be an excellent defensive back. And here again, I like teaching excellence in the defensive back spots. But if you're an average DB, you still want to be fundamentally sound. You're going to be worse off trying to press a guy because that takes more athleticism. I'd rather be fundamentally sound than maybe gradually move into press coverage so I can have two different looks. But definitely I want to be fundamentally sound first, and that's reading the routes, building the correct muscle memory, good footwork mechanics, explosive back pedal, frontward and change of direction, smooth, fluid hips. When I'm running with the receivers, it's not really a hard effort. It's just a smooth flip of the hips. If you're playing this position, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about having smooth fluid hip turns. And not everybody has that. Some people's hips are too stiff and too slow. Those are some of the things that I recognize. Hey, coaches. So, connect up with me. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next drill.